Kunjabi Hari Radha Madhava Kunjabi Jayam Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari Kunjabi Gopijana Balabha Girivardhari Gopijana Balabha Girivardhari Girivardhari Jashodanandana Brajajanaranjana Jashodanandana Brajajanaranjana Jamanatira Vanachadi Jamanatira Vanachadi Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari Madhava Kunjabi Hari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari Madhava Kunjabi Hari Gopijana Balabha Girivardhari Gopijana Balabha Girivardhari Girivardhari Jashodanandana Brajajanaranjana Jashodanandana Brajajanaranjana Jamanatira Vanachadi Jamanatira Vanachadi Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari Jayo Vishnupad Paramahamsa Harivedangacharya Astatarasata Sri Srimada's Divine Grace Sri Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda Ki Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Gora Premanandi Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Okay, we're going to continue with Canto 10, Chapter 37. But before I continue, I want to go back a little bit to this topic that has come up a few times in the morning class. I was looking for the word. Acharya Nishta suggested reconciliation, and I think the word that I was looking for was harmonize. So Krishna is the harmonizer of all contradictions. I'm going to read Canto 10, Chapter 9, verses 13, 14. This is, Chapter 9 is the Damodar Leela. And this is the point in the Damodar Leela where Mother Jasoda is attempting to bind he who is unlimited with something limited. So the translation reads, "The Supreme Personality of Godhead has no beginning and no end, no exterior and no interior, no front and no rear. In other words, he is all-pervading. Because he is not under the influence of the element of time, for him there is no difference between past, present, and future. He exists in his own transcendental form at all times. Being absolute beyond relativity, he is free from distinctions between cause and effect, although he is the cause and effect of everything. That unmanifested person, who is beyond the perception of the senses, has now appeared as a human child. And Mother Yashoda, considering him her own ordinary child, bound him to the wooden mortar with a rope." And part of the commentary there reads, Krishna is the time factor. Therefore, he is all-pervading, not only in space, but also in time. We have measurements of time, but although we are limited by past, present, and future, for Krishna, these do not exist. Every individual person can be measured, but Krishna has already shown that although he also is an individual, the entire cosmic manifestation is within his mouth. That's from the previous chapter 8. Krishna shows the universe within his mouth. Small boy, within whom is everything, not only a universe, but universes and everything is within him. So it's a contradiction, but he who is absolute is the harmonizer of all contradictions. This topic takes up a number of pages in Bhagavat Sandarbha, because Bhagavan is the harmonizer of all contradiction. Krishna is the original Bhagavan. So here's Jiva Goswami's commentary, a part of it, because there's a whole long, it comes up again and again and weaves it back and forth. But here's part of his commentary on this same verse. And Bhanu Swami's translation of the verse reads, this is now 10, 9, 13, 14. "Thinking of the invisible Lord, who has no inside or outside, who has nothing previous or after him, who existed in the past and will exist in the future, inside and outside of the universe, who is the universe, as her son," so thinking of the invisible Lord as her son, "appearing as a human form, with a human form, though he was beyond material senses, she tied him to the mortar like a normal child with rope." And Jiva Goswami writes, the commentary says, he doesn't say who, and you can take a guess, and he's referring to a prior commentary, that of Sridhar Swami, because Jiva Goswami holds Sridhar Swami in high esteem. It doesn't say it's from him. The commentary says, quote, binding means to use a rope to encompass so that the interior object is covered. First, holding the rope in front of an object which has a prior and subsequent time, one then surrounds the object. But this could not happen with Krishna. That is explained in the verse. This is still commentary from somebody. Krishna has no prior and subsequent time, no inside or outside. One must bind an object with something which can pervade that object, but this situation was the opposite. The universe and the rope had a prior and later time, an inside and an outside, whereas Krishna did not. Moreover, since he is non-different from the universe, one cannot bind him. He is the universe. Thinking the Lord to be a human form and her son, she bound him. Unquote. So now it's Jiva Goswami's direct commentary. Since Krishna is the universe, without the cause, who is Krishna, the effect, the universe, cannot exist. How can he be bound with a rope, which is a small portion of his Shakti, of the universe, which is non-different from him? A ray of light cannot burn fire. Paragraph. Yashoda thought of Krishna as a human form, Martya Lingam. The intention is this, according to the commentator. Then he again quotes, how could she bind up something all-pervading? No one can bind up the universe and Goloka, unquote. Jiva Goswami goes on, he had a human form. How can that form be all-pervading? Answer, he is adhoksajam. He is that person to whom the sense knowledge, akshajam, is inferior, adha, unquote. So this means he is beyond all sense knowledge, inconceivable to proof by material perception. Though he has a human form, he is still all-powerful. Some say that because he is beyond material perception, he's invisible, but that is not accepted. Paragraph. Quote, so he was all-powerful, though having a human form. Why did not his mother see this? Answer, she thought of him as her son. She had natural prema rasa called vatsalya for him. By her bliss, she covered the realization of his greatness. Her greatness was her lack of awareness of his powers. This greatness allowed her to bind him with rope. The experience of prema rasa was the cause of his bondage with the rope. And then it concludes this little section with text 20. So for chapter 9, the first 21 verses are said to be extolling the glories of Yashoda. It's weaving into it as the Leela, but the focus is the glories of Yashoda, which means the glories of the love of Yashoda for Krishna, unparalleled love for Krishna. So here's text 20. Neither Brahma nor Shiva, nor even the goddess of fortune, who is always the better half of the Supreme Lord, can obtain from the Supreme Lord, the deliverer from this material world, such mercy as received by Mother Yashoda. So that's the continuation of our topic from last few days. Where is Acharya Nishta? Is he going to go on the altar? Okay, just, I'm speaking his name because yesterday the question was, what's the word? So he suggested reconciliation. This is harmonize. We're carrying on now with Canto 10, Chapter 37, Text 22, where Sanatana Goswami writes, commentary, you are pure knowledge. What can be offered or communicated to you? Because you, not dependent on anything, show causeless mercy, you will do everything I have stated. Sva sangstaya. You never become tired from anything you do. Amogha. Krishna. Why do you ask that I destroy fear of Kamsa for the devotees? Answer. You destroy fear of samsara. By your powers, sva tejasa, you destroy the influence of the gunas and maya. So we heard, he's not influenced by, has no contact with the modes of nature or illusion, maya. But not only that, whoever he comes in contact with, he's continually, the text reads, he's continually destroying the influence of the modes and maya. He protects his devotee. That's the reciprocation of the Lord with his devotee. So Narada is longing for Krishna to do that with persons who are feeling fear of Kamsa. Now there's a transcendental fear. Like the transcendental fear is Krishna's in the coils of the Kaliya serpent, or Krishna's in the mouth of the Baka demon, and there's, oh no, transcendental fear. And this other kind of fear is the phrase is Vibrama Vilas. Brahma, remember from yesterday? Bhrama is one of the 4 defects of the conditioned soul. Make mistakes or illusion, error. And Brahma is big time error, and pastimes of big time error. So the pastime of big time error is there's something to be afraid of. The cowherds don't have physical bodies. They have spiritual bodies. So there's who can kill. Like Krishna says to Yogamaya, Kamsa will try to kill you, but he can't kill you. You're my Yogamaya. No worries. But they have this fear of Kamsa, and etc. So Krishna's presence eliminates that fear. Remember this message? For the residents of Vrindavan, they don't even perceive material tribulation. They perceive tribulation. So he drives away, by his pastimes, he drives away the modes, like the mode of ignorance that causes material fear and material tribulation. So now I'm going to the same verse, 10:37:22, and Jivana asked me to speak yesterday evening on 3 verses from Canto 10, Chapter 14, 22, 3, and 4. So here's Jiva Goswami's Vaishnav Toshani commentary on 10:14:24. And it's right on the topic of, because there's reference to this 10:37:22. Here's Bhanu Swami's translation of Jiva Goswami's commentary on 10.14.24. Translation of the verse: You are the one Supreme Soul, the Supreme Person, the oldest, the truth, self-manifest, unlimited, the beginning, eternal, indestructible, unlimited happiness, pure, full, without a second, free from upadhis, and deathless. It's a very simple translation. And then the commentary goes through explaining each one of those characteristics of Krishna. So our commentators have told us that the primary is Krishna's form, and secondary are the qualities. They're resting upon the form. They're of the form, they're not different than the form, they're not different from the form, but they're resting on the form, because within his form is everything. And then his qualities are like ornaments or decorations or features of him. Not different from him, but one thing is the basis and support and rest of everything. So, commentary reads, Brahma summarizes an intermediate topic. So intermediate topic means he then goes back to an earlier text, 10.14.14. You are the cause of Narayan, 10.14.14. And are one alone, 10.14.18. So that's the previous topic. You're singular, one of a kind. You're the cause or source of Narayan, standing with yogurt rice in your hand. And you are the basis of all material and spiritual manifestations. Eka tvam atma. From the Gopal Tapani Upanishad, he's going to quote that again and again. Tam ekam govindam sach chidananda vigraham. The form of Govinda is eternity, knowledge, and bliss. Specifically concerning the word Atma, Shruti says, quote, how has the supreme form of Govinda, beyond Prakriti, appeared on earth? Then he quotes Brahma's prayers, 10.14.55. Just a second. This is in a different font, so I have to change it so that I can read it. Krishnam enam avehi tvam atmanam akilatmanam. That's a translation of 10, now here's the translation of that 10.14.55. You should know Krishna to be the original soul of all living entities. He's the source of Narayan, but he's the source of all living entities and everything. O king, this is Shukadev summarizing the whole pastime. O king, for every created being, the dearmost thing is certainly his own self. The dearness of everything else, children, wealth, and so on, is only due to the dearness of the self. Then he goes to another chapter, 44, concerning the word Purnam. The Shruti says, Atmatvam eva sadyati purushaha. This again is Gopal Tapani. Govinda is known as the Purusha. Purusho yo savutama Purusho Gopala. The ultimate Purusha is Gopal. Gopal Tapani. Concerning the word Purushaha, it is said, Gudham Purnam Purusho Vana Chitra Malya. The ancient Purusha wanders about decorated with flower garlands. So now it's that the commentary is just going to go through step by step these qualities of Krishna. Then some may look to be contradictory to other qualities, but he's giving the absolute picture. Concerning the word Satyaha, it is said, a celebrated verse, so I'm going to recite it, is from the prayers of the demigods. Satyam Vratam Satyam Param Tri Satyam Satyasya Yonim Nihitam Chasatye. This is the very first of the prayers of the demigods to Krishna within the womb. Satyasya Satyam Rita Satya Netram Satyatmakam Tvam Sharanam Prapana. O Lord, you are true to your promise, truth incarnate, pervading all aspects of time with truth, before the creation, during its existence, and after its destruction. You are the revealer of sweet words and truth. We surrender to you, the embodiment of truth. The name, form, qualities, pastimes. We're just hearing qualities and connected with that as pastimes. Concerning Swayam Jyoti, that's from this verse from being recited here. People, it is said, this is Gopal Tapani, people desiring liberation surrender to Krishna, who bestows his mantra to the learned and protects them, who is the Supreme Lord, revealing himself through his intelligence. Next, the word Anantaha is illustrated as follows, quoting this same ninth chapter, verses 13, 14. Thinking of the invisible Lord, who has no inside or outside, who has nothing previous or after him, who existed in the past and will exist in the future, inside and outside of the universe, who is the universe. As her son, appearing with a human form, though he was beyond material senses, she tied him to the mortar, like a normal child with rope. Going on to Canto 10, Chapter 3, Text 26. The inaugurator of the material energy. This is prayers by Vasudeva and Devaki, that chapter. Time, which starts with second and ends with years, which years rotate, to make the life time of Brahma, and by which the universe moves, it is said to be your movement. I surrender to the Supreme Lord, the abode of fearlessness and happiness. Concerning Adyaha, so he's the original. Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchit Ananda Vigraha Anadir Adir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. Krishna is the supreme controller. He is the enjoyer with innumerable consorts and the possessor of an eternal form of knowledge and bliss. Though he is without origin, he is the source of all other forms of God and is the cause of all causes. He is Govinda, the boy who cares for the cows. Nice translation. And then another verse supporting the same, because this is about Adhyaha. So this is back to the prayers, chapter 3, canto 10. I know you directly as the Supreme Person beyond material existence, as the impersonal Brahman, as Paramatma and Bhagavan. Qualities of Krishna. Concerning Nityaha, it is said, Nityo Nityanam, Chaitanas Chaitananam, Eko Bahunam Yog Vidadati Kaman, Tam Pittagam, Yenu, Yayanti Vipras Tesham Siddhi, Shashvati Netarasham. He is the chief eternal and the chief consciousness, who, though one, fulfills the desires of all beings. Those brahmanas who worship him, situated in Braja, attain perfection, and not others. Now that, we're used to hearing that verse, apparently, it's the same, first line is the same as in Gopal Tampani. Concerning the quality of Krishna as Aksharaha, gives a verse from Bhagavad Gita. Because I am superior to the jivas, this is 15:18, because I am superior to the jivas, to the Brahman, and to the Purusha, known as Paramatma, and even to the other forms of Bhagavan, I am celebrated in the Vedas. And the Smritis as the Supreme Person. I am celebrated in the Vedas and the Smritis as the Supreme Person. That's the Yasmat Sharam Atitoham, Aksharad, 15:18. Another verse from Gopal Tapani, concerning Ajasra Sukha, it is said, Kshanat Mako Nityadika Rupa. Krishna is a form of eternity and bliss. Vasudeva states, prayers in chapter 3, canto 10, I know you, same, as the Supreme Person beyond material existence, as the impersonal Brahman, as Paramatma and Bhagavan. Concerning Niranjana, I always wondered what's Niranjana Maharaj's name mean. Niranjana means purity. Narada says, 10:37, that's this chapter, text 22, in fact it's our verse. Let us approach you, the Supreme Lord, for shelter, for you are full of perfectly pure spiritual awareness and are always situated in your original identity. So the context, just looking back, there was a whole series of prayers where Narada was indicating the pastimes, the sequence of pastimes that Krishna would perform after leaving Braja. And each of them was dismissing demons, which he had promised the demigods he would do. And his dear devotees, they're also in anxiety about the tormenting of demons. So you'll be pleasing your devotees, and you're the pleaser of your devotees. You fulfill all desires. Now he's going to these qualities of Krishna, that within him, Narada has full confidence that he is the worshipable Supreme and the worshipable Supreme for all living entities. So please carry on and take care of protecting your devotees. Concerning Purnaha, in the Shruti it is said, quote, please explain to us the worship of Govinda, the support of all things. Gopal Tapani, it's like a really special Upanishad, huh? From the Bhagavatam 10, 14, 21, again, Brahma's prayers. Who knows where, how many, and when your pastimes will take place in the universe? Again, from Gopal Tapani, concerning Advayaha, the Shruti states, quote, I offer respects repeatedly to Krishna, the greatest, without compare. Concerning Muktaha, the Shruti says, Sakshat Prakriti Paraha. He is beyond Prakriti, free from all coverings. Concerning Amritaha, the Shruti says, Govindam Martya Vibeti. Death is afraid of Govinda. Gopal Tapani again. No one in this world, this is prayers back to Canto 10, Chapter 3. We're almost done for this morning. No one in this material world, fearful of the snake of time, has become free from fear, even by fleeing to various planets. But now that you have appeared, death is fleeing in fear of you, and the living entities, having obtained shelter at your lotus feet by your mercy, are fearless and tranquil. And last reference, concerning his difference from birth and death, Shruti says, quote, he is steady, he is indivisible, he is brave, he lives among the cows, and he protects the cowherds and lives among them. Qualities of Krishna. So that's, the source of that is long rendering. Jiva Goswami's commentary on this verse 10, 14, 24 that gives a description emphatically of Krishna's shelter-giving capacity. The reference yesterday, it was a nice topic, and everyone participated in the discussion one by one in very different ways, but the topic was reality distinguished from illusion. And the lila is Brahma Vimohan Lila. It was Vimoha. But his moha was taken away by Krishna, showing his unlimitedness, and then Brahma, who's the creator of the universe, he's not condemning the universe, but he's just identifying that it's illusion. That which he has created is illusion, and the illusion is an extension of his potency, who is reality. Because he's reality, there isn't an illusion without the reality. There's a very interesting argument Madhvacharya gives against the Mayavad conception that accepting this world to be true is like accepting a rope to be a snake and be fearful of the snake. But it's not a snake, it's a rope. And so dismiss it, it just doesn't exist. Madhva says, wait a minute. To have a comparison between a rope and a snake, to begin with, it means there's a rope and there's a snake, and you have an experience of a rope and a snake. So they exist. So don't say it doesn't exist. You can mistake it to be real. You can mistake illusion to be reality, and reality to be illusion. But it doesn't mean they don't exist. A priori, it's a given. There has to be both. You know, Dvaitavad. Very simple, very simple. So, illusion distinguished from reality, I didn't touch on that yesterday because I thought that would be a little, you know, for your audience, a little, ooh. This is Brahma's prayers, recognizing there is reality and there is illusion, and illusion is illusion. The whole work of creating the cosmic manifestation is illusion. So he feels bad about creating illusion. And he feels bad about the suffering that people have to undergo in that illusion. You know the story? There's a Puranic story of why Ekadasi is auspicious. You know the Puranic story? I asked the deity worship ministry, what's the explanation behind why we don't pick Tulsi Devi on Dwadasi? Those of you that have Tulsis in your home, it's part of the deity worship ministry teaching. Maybe that probably happens here, but in your home you can know. According to deity worship ministry, you don't pick Tulsi. You pick Tulsi the day before, and you worship Tulsi on Dwadasi, but you don't pick Tulsi on Dwadasi. And then the next day, Trayodashi is fine. So, what's the basis for that? I was asked. I didn't know. So I asked the deity worship ministry, and they don't know. So I, with the help of a nice devotee that likes Tulsi Devi, he found the translation in Hari Bhakti Vilas that says here, here, there, and there, 3 references. Don't pick Tulsi on Dwadasi. But why? Why does it say that in the here, here, and there in Hari Bhakti Vilas? No answer. So the deity worship ministry is searching for the why. Now I told that story to reference to another one. What's the other one that I was just speaking about before that one? I lost track. Thank you. So I'm not sure that is which Purana, Brahma Vaivarta Purana, but I'm not sure. Brahma made the universe, and kind of like with Vyasa, after compiling the Vedas, he stepped back and said, how did it come out? And he looked at the universe and went, so much suffering, so much misery. Oh Lord, help me. What can I do to create an opportunity for persons who are suffering so much? No problem. We'll have a special day. We'll call it Ekadasi. And persons who observe Ekadasi will become freed from all that suffering. And then sin personified said, wait a minute, you created me, and what if there's no sin that can affect the person who observes Ekadasi, what am I to do? Like the personality Kali saying, you give me a place to stay, please. So sin personified was given a place where there's beans and grains. Ekadasi. Now, Krishna appeared in this world, and Krishna appeared in this world for many reasons, but one of those many reasons is to kill the demons, and the chapter we're reading is very diplomatically, very expertly, very graciously, Narada is reminding Krishna put a pause on your pastimes here in Vraja, which are so sweet, and take care of your devotees over there and over there and over there. And I long to see the day when you will give your association to them by killing demons and protecting them and relieving them of their fear and grief. So part of these verses is he has that power. Not only he's not touched, but those who contact him are also freed from that fear in the modes of nature and even the perception of material misery. That's the power and the nature of Krishna. So go running for his lotus feet. And if it's for the sake of protection, no problem. But while you're there, make sure you do some service. And that opens the heart for the even more mercy than just protecting you from some challenge or something or other. It's you're protected. You're protected by that, by bhakti, because bhakti attracts Krishna, and Krishna protects his bhakti. By that Krishna is the protector and bhakti is the protector. There's the devotee side and the Krishna side. Bhakti protects. And bhakti isn't just, the mechanics. It isn't just ringing a bell and waving a stick of incense, or cleaning a floor, or cooking an offering, or doing something. You're putting your hand in your bead bag, and there's some submission to do those things instead of other things. But the essence of bhakti is Krishna is to be pleased. And all of what we just did this morning and all of what we do all the time has that purpose. What's the purpose of the Vedas? To know Krishna. And how do you know Krishna? Through devotional service. And it's not just the activity, it's the intention to please Krishna. Then you can know Krishna. By his kindness, he reveals. He imparts prema, he imparts progress in the bhakti path. He's not a janitor, but his potency cleanses and protects. And we're safe from illusion. Reality distinguished from illusion. So that's what we did this morning. These qualities of Krishna are very wonderful and very attractive. He's all attractive, and he has these qualities in their fullness. And we like hearing and chanting and remembering and worshiping his qualities and his form and his name. Nicely decorated deities this morning. So let's see if there's any discussion. Yeah?
So Guru Maharaj, we're hearing about Narada prodding Krishna along in his pastimes and telling him to put a pause on his Vraja pastimes. And we're hearing all these reasons why, the pastimes need to move on. He needs to not just have loving pastimes with devotees, but also kill the demons. And then Akrura gets selected to carry out the dirty work and get the bad name in terms of, the curse of the gopis. And everybody's upset with Akrura for actually carrying out this whole grand plan. Almost seems unfair, or,
Narada gets 5 gold stars. Look at the things he did. Kill the sons of, and lock them up, and so he's feeling. We hear the commentary. He's feeling regret, but they're doing what Krishna wants. So now, not fair. Supposing you do some nice service, it happens. Supposing you do some nice service with the intention of pleasing Krishna, and Krishna is pleased, and somebody comes along and criticizes. Does it ever happen? Has it ever happened to you, Karunanidhi? Did you hear? You do some nice service. Krishna is pleased. Your intention is to please. Krishna is pleased. Somebody comes along and criticizes. Has that ever happened to you? Of course it's happened to you. It's happened to all of us. It's happened to all of us. In the Avanti Brahman story, you know the Avanti Brahman story, it's in Coming Attractions, the Uddhava Gita section. The question is posed and then Krishna responds, verses 2 and 3, Canto 11, Chapter 23, verses 2 and 3. I was just sharing this yesterday with someone that's experiencing harsh words spoken by an uncultured person, Krishna says, hurts the heart more than arrows shot into the same heart. And he says, even a saintly person, there's no, I mean, this isn't his exact words, but even the greatest of saintly persons cannot help but feel hurt by that. And then there's Jad Bharat, who was spoken harshly to by King Rahugana. And in that summary of that chapter, Shukadeva Goswami similarly says, Jad Bharat, who was, what was Jad Bharat's position? He wasn't just an, elevated personality. He's the topmost position devotee, Uttama Bhagavat. And he was feeling, when Rahugana spoke, the way that Rahugana spoke, he felt pained, although he's beyond material pain. And then very quickly he composed himself and was relieved of that feeling. And then for that reason, he spoke to the king and gave transcendental knowledge that was in the topmost position. He showed compassion to his aggressor. He spoke in such a way to mitigate that which was causing the ignorant and proud and arrogant king to be relieved, just by his words. It was in phases, but the king became elevated. And he wasn't walking around, Jad Bharat wasn't walking around carrying the hurt. So we're not so elevated like Jad Bharat, that's for sure. But there's instructions in the Bhagavatam to teach us how to deal with duality and illusion, and the good and the bad, the good fortune, ill fortune that comes our way. Okay, something further?
So for being an instrument in this way, Akrura gets later the reaction.
He gets a bad name. He gets a bad name.
Yeah, and he has to bear separation from Krishna with getting involved with the whole murder of Satyajit.
But Krishna, what happened? What was the relationship with Krishna? Akrura was part of a conspiracy to kill his father-in-law. And Krishna knew. He didn't even mention it. He didn't spank him or scold him or anything, because he knows Akrura's heart. It's very mysterious. I mean, murder or an accomplice to murder, death penalty. Very mysterious. Why did Krishna regard Akrura after knowing what he knew in the way that he just wanted to have everybody see the Shamantaka jewel, and Akrura wanted to give the Shamantaka jewel to Krishna or Ugrasena. He said, no, you keep it. Because previously with Satrajit, give the jewel to the king, because all valuables should go to the king. No. I mean, he didn't say no, he just didn't do it. Krishna's interaction with different personalities and devotees and those who are proud and those who are this and that. It's very interesting. It's very interesting how Krishna deals with different people. But in the bottom line, for this question you're raising about Akrura getting a bad name and getting the curse of the gopis and having to undergo what he underwent, separation from Krishna, that was the curse. And he was separated from Krishna. But Krishna brought him back. And the reason that Krishna brought him back looked like something else, because people were criticizing Krishna. Because Akrura, son of Shwapalka, who is known wherever he is present, there's no disturbances. Now Akrura is gone, so that's the reason. Krishna is to blame. Krishna was being given a bad name. So Karunanidhi, next time somebody says something, you know what to do. You think of Krishna, right? Even Krishna was given a bad name. Although the words may be more painful to bear than an arrow shot in the heart.
Maharaj, it's very amazing that how, I want to compliment you something, because today morning I was just reading that Avanti Brahmans. And how could you know that? And you
I didn't know that.
And you expressed that thing. It's a great, amazing. And I was thinking that you read that verse 10 to 26, Satyam Nihita. There is a word Nihita, Satyam Jonim Nihita Satya, something. That means how the devotees also, like a personality like you and those who are in truth, all the times, Krishna favors to them, and they also become cognizant. And because Satyam Param Dhimai, in that verse, the Krishna knows everything. And you also read one of the verse while you was reading, that Krishna knows everything. And also so as also his devotees. That's all great. And I was thinking today,
I think it's Krishna is helping you to read the verse, so you're already tuned in, and then you hear it because Krishna knew you were going to hear it. So Krishna's in your heart prompting you. I just reading the text.
Yes, and another thing, there I came across, the Bhavanti Brahmana is telling there's 15 things is because of accumulation of wealth. He got 15 things, something he mentioned in that summary of that chapter. I was just entering into that chapters. So he says how he came to Kharswar and all these things, how was perishing. Exactly that you told me. Great.
Krishna Krishna.
Thank you so much.
Madhu Mangal.
So, the question is related to the reality and illusion.
Nice topic, huh?
Our perception is what we take as reality most of the times, which is what I'm learning is that Krishna is the knower of everything.
Krishna is what?
Is the knower of everything.
Yes.
And sometimes whatever I may know or others may think as reality is not necessarily the truth without knowing the big picture, everything. So in this connection, the question is related to gossiping or rumors. that may be spread or that may be going around. How does, as a sadhaka, has to respond? Do we have a responsibility to set the record straight, or continue serving Krishna, knowing that Guru and Krishna know the full picture? We're just the gossiping or rumors may go on.
It's not either or. There's a whole panorama of options. And, you know, something over here, something over there, something over there, something later. You have many options. And there's not like there's a right and a wrong one. You and I require intelligence to know which of those options to select. And we're not very intelligent. But intelligence comes from super soul, so the solution is not just, you know, take an IQ test or something, but become attached to Krishna and consider, according to the circumstance, what's an appropriate way to please Krishna. So it's not always either or. Discrimination is required. And discrimination will be given, I'm saying it again, when anukulyena Krishna anushilam. Tadami buddhi yogam tam. When Krishna sees that's your disposition, he'll give you the intelligence to select from the menu. Which shade, which color, which manner. Okay? Go ahead, something else.
So, to receive that intelligence from Krishna, to consider what is the right way to respond, I think what I'm understanding is that patience is required also. Patience.
Yes. Here, I'm thinking as you're speaking, you know, the golden rule. So supposing you knew, or it came to your ear, there's some rumor about you. And somebody heard there's a rumor about you. So what would you want that person who heard the rumor about you to do? And then that will help you decide. Because that's, you know, it's personal. And, you know, you are not a pure devotee. So what you may want that other person to do may not be what Krishna wants that other person to do. But when you're hearing some rumor, I mean, one of the things I think you would appreciate is if the person that heard the rumor, without necessarily disclosing from whom they heard it, but just go to you and say, in case you didn't know, you may have already heard this because it's a rumor, but in case you didn't know, there's such and such rumor. And I just want you to be aware. So, the relationship between you and the person who just disclosed that to you has become strengthened. The trust in that relationship, because it's honest, in confidence. You know, don't ask me who I heard this from, or unless that person feels it's important for you to know who is spreading this rumor. And it could just be someone heard who someone heard who someone heard. It's not that's the source of the rumor. Anyway, golden rule. That's something that comes at the top of the list of options. How would you want someone? You follow? Okay.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. Guru Maharaj, I was curious to know what is the eternal abode where Narada Muni resides apart from traveling?
He's a sannyasi. Give the microphone to him. He spent a long time in Dwarka, that we read. But that's not his home. He doesn't have a home. Space, that's his home.
So I'm going to read online questions, but quick clarification, Maharaj. In Jiva Goswami's commentary, he's referencing 10:14:24.
Yeah.
But from the description of the verse, it seemed like it was 10:14:23. But please.
I'll check.
Yeah.
But that's what I have in my computer. So I'm just reading what's in my computer.
This Amara Mataji is asking, the initial narration said greatness of Yashoda was in not knowing the greatness of Krishna. Srila Prabhupada has said people know God is great, but they do not know how great God is. So my understanding is we are supposed to cultivate the understanding of
We're
greatness
supposed to do
of
what?
God.
My understanding is we're supposed to do what?
My understanding is we are supposed to cultivate the understanding
Cultivate, okay.
of the greatness of God. Does this apply differently to sadhakas?
Why? Why would it apply only to sadhakas? So the answer is no, it doesn't apply only to sadhakas.
Uttama Bhakta Prabhu asks, are Lord Krishna's form and qualities in such a way by the arrangement of the Lord that an ordinary person sees them as ordinary, an extraordinary sees them as extraordinary, and a devotee as divine?
You got to read slower because...
Yeah, sure.
Do it again, slower.
Are Krishna's form and qualities in such a way arranged by the Lord
Arranged?
that an ordinary person sees them as ordinary, an extraordinary person sees them as extraordinary, and a devotee sees them as divine?
It's an interesting perspective. But I don't think there's any basis for reaching that conclusion. In other words, supposing one set of senses is looking at an object, another set of senses, a scientist is looking at the data this way, another scientist that way, a third scientist another way. And it's because the senses and mind, the senses grouped around the mind, will perceive the data differently according to their prior conceptions and their senses. They're going to read the data differently. So it's not that there's some intention behind the data that says the purpose of this data appearing the way it is so that it looks different to different people. It's just, it's subjective. Not by design, Krishna appears this way so that the materialist will receive this way. There may be some examples. One that comes to mind is Krishna's leaving behind a material body. That's very clear that it's intentional to deceive the materialists, and the transcendentalists perceive differently. There may be some examples like that, but for the most part it's not like that. It has to do with the coverings of the soul or the purity of the soul, and then Krishna is reciprocating with the varieties of pure souls in different ways. Next.
So back to Amara Mataji's question, she tried to clarify her question. Mother Yashoda was not aware of Krishna's greatness.
He was not aware of Krishna's
greatness.
Greatness, okay.
That's on one side. And then Srila Prabhupada said that we need to know the greatness of God. So can you kindly help me understand this seeming contradiction?
Oh, the contradiction is not, if you become a Brijbasi, if you become an associate of the Brijbasis, then Krishna may, by his will, cover you or the Brijbasi's understanding of Krishna's greatness. But supposing you're not a Brijbasi, supposing you're in Mathura, Dwarka, or Vaikuntha, then you're to know Krishna's greatness. And if Krishna so desires, he may cover you so you don't recognize his greatness. So, but it's not just sadhakas that should recognize Krishna's greatness. So why? Because Krishna's Yogamaya potency, Krishna didn't want. So she didn't. Her intensity of love, another way of saying it from her side, the intensity of her love was such that by that intimacy of love, she couldn't perceive. Even when she was shown, she couldn't perceive. So I suggest that she can read that section, chapter 8, where she sees the universe, the form of the universe, and then she goes through 4 or 5 different stages of processing that, none of which is, he's God. Go ahead.
Again from Uttama Bhakta Prabhu, when a liberated soul is sent to liberate us from the spiritual universe, does he go through the pain of birth? My understanding is that he doesn't.
No. The experience is the experience is the experience, but the pain that a conditioned soul experiences is not what the transcendentalist experiences.
Raghava Chaitanya Prabhu asks, how do we handle being hurt even though Krishna is pleased with our service?
Even though Krishna does what?
How do we handle being hurt even though Krishna is pleased with our service?
Even though Krishna is pleased with our service. I think you can just ask Krunanidhi because he now understands. You turn to Krishna. And pleasing Krishna is everything. And if Krishna is pleased and you're feeling some hurt, you let go of the hurt. And for further elaboration on that, listen to this person who are asking the question, can listen to the Dhruva pastime, and 3 times he's advised how to let go of the hurt. By his mother, by Narada, and by Swayambhuva Manu. You read and you can listen and you'll have a better understanding. Next.
Is off topic from Uttama Bhakta Prabhu. He says, after leaving the body, does the soul linger around for some time or immediately go to the next destination?
Commonly immediately goes, but it depends. Because there is a tendency for attachment. Therefore, in Vedic culture, within 12 hours, the body is disposed of. If departure of the body is during the day, before the nightfall, the body is disposed of by fire. And if it's during the night, before the sun rises, by fire, the body is disposed of. Now, modern times, different things happen, but that's the Vedic principle.
This is Keshav Kishore Prabhu from Mayapur, offering his obeisances to the devotees and to yourself. He asks, when one is the target of rumors, what would be the best way to handle it without falling in the dynamics and the trap of responding?
Well, responding doesn't necessarily mean a trap. If you react and become angry and lose it, you lose your forgetfulness you lose your remembrance of Krishna. That's the problem. But responding isn't necessarily a problem. And one of the principal lessons, one of my favorite principal lessons in the Bhagavatam, is how Krishna responded to rumors. And the simple answer is, you stand by the truth. When there's something that's false, you stand by the truth because the truth prevails. And perceptions and rumors and other ideas may be what's going on for some time, but just stand by the truth. And stand by the truth, and truth will prevail, however long it takes. Next, it's done.
That's it, Maharaj.
Okay. Prabhupada ki jai.